Hi everybody, welcome to today's class on the Yoga by Candace YouTube channel. Today I wanted to do a class for improved ankle mobility and also kind of loosening up the bottoms of the feet. I sometimes find that if there's an ankle issue going on, usually there's something going on with the foot and then something also into the calves. So we're going to get into all of that. For this, I'm using 2 yoga blocks, and I've got a bench here. You don't necessarily need to have a bench, but you might need something to grab onto, or like if you're close, something that's like heavy, whatever. We'll get to it when we get to it. Let's start seated. Now, if you find that when you sit, your low back tends to round, you have trouble like sitting up really tall like this, you're always kind of falling over, you're just going to take one of these blocks, place it down, and then sit up onto that block. So wherever you are, either sitting on the block or sitting on the ground. From here, we're going to take, let's all do the same foot. Let's take the left foot and we'll just press into the arch of that foot with your thumb. Now you can also do this barefoot. I'm just not because I'm freezing cold and don't feel like it. So you're just gonna press into the arch of the foot up and down. So if your arch is here, I'm just going all the way up and then down the arch and just looking for any areas of tenderness or tightness. And if you find an area like that, you'll just hold it and you can kind of like rub it either side to side or up and down or in a circular motion, and just kind of breathe through it. Notice what's going on with your face. A lot of times, like when there's tension or tightness, the response is to scrunch up the face. Don't do that because it just causes more tension in your body. And then let's get into the middle of the foot. So if we're here, they're not that dirty. Okay, if you're looking at the bottom of your foot, we're gonna go for this like band here down the center. So you'll just get into that however feels good for you. That. So up and down and just seeing what's going on. Like maybe you don't feel anything, maybe you feel a lot of things. Just sort of rubbing it out. And then from here, we're gonna try to spread the toes as wide as you can and then release. Spread as wide as you can and release. Spread as wide as you can and release. Spread and release. Then take your hand to the top of the foot. What we're gonna do is just kind of fold the toes down. I'm just seeing what's going on in that direction, and then fold the toes going this way. So kind of folding them back and just seeing if anything's happening there. All right, and then with the foot out in front of you, let's just draw some circles in one direction. Go kind of slower than you want to go, and imagine that the air is 30% more dense than it is, so you're really having to push through something, and then switch directions. Notice if there's any tightness when you point or flex your foot. I don't know if you can hear that, but something is cracking. My ankle maybe? All right, then we're gonna kind of go in one direction and then the other. So I'm thinking about like tilting my foot laterally and then the other way. So eversion and inversion, but my foot is out in front. So I'm pulling my arch in towards my ankle, my inner ankle, and then pulling the knife edge of my foot towards my outer ankle. Kind of going side to side like that and just seeing what that feels like. Cool. Then set the foot down, take your hand and find your shin. So obviously your shin runs up and down like this. You're gonna go just outside the shin, just to the side of the shin. Use your index and middle fingers, and you're gonna go down the leg into the, what's known as the tibialis anterior. So it's like this long muscle that's on the side of the shin, just to the side of the shin. And sometimes that's really tight, especially up by the top of the shin. You can also use your knuckles and get in there and just see what's going on. For some of you, it might be super tight. For others of you, maybe there's nothing going on. Then from here, we're going to turn the foot. So now we're looking at the side of the lower part of the leg. These are your peroneal muscles. And you can take I like to take my knuckle and just kind of like dig in there. Go a little closer. So it's like that. And again, sometimes when these muscles are tight, it impacts the ability of the ankle to move as freely as it could in that joint because it's hindered by the tightness of the muscles. Then from here, we're going to go to the inner part of the shin. So here's the shin. And now on the inner part of that, so like take your fingers, find the shin, and then you're going to go inward, inward, inward until you're off the shin. You're going to take your thumb and go all the way down. Ugh, this is the worst. And then all the way up. So this muscle that you're pressing into is feels like it's like the inner part of the calf, but it's your soleus muscle. And this muscle is notoriously tight for like anyone who walks, runs, skips, or jumps. Basically, this muscle is involved anytime you are upright on your feet. So you might find, right there. If you find a spot where you're like, oh, I feel it, stay there and kind of just breathe through it. Oh my goodness, that's very tight. And then let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So we're gonna start with the arch of the other foot. So you're just pressing in and moving your hand however feels good for the bottom of the foot. And the purpose here is to, one, become aware of what's going on in your foot. Now we'll move to that band and down the center of the foot. And also to bring blood flow to the area. So anytime you kind of press into your body, like if you're foam rolling, for example, it helps improve your circulation there, which is only going to help when we're trying to work on our mobility. Then from here, we're going to fold the toes over and fold them back. So I'm kind of taking my hand and folding the toes back. And then we'll take the foot out in front, draw some circles. And remember, you're pointing and flexing and trying to kind of like move your ankle as much as you possibly can. Make the biggest circle with your toes that you possibly can. Other direction. And then point and flex. And then take the knife edge of the foot and bring it in towards the outer ankle and then the arch of the foot towards the inner ankle. This feels really funky. Just do the best you can with it. You can't really do it wrong. We're just trying to like mobilize the ankle and see what's going on there. Okay, then bend the knee. We'll find the tibialis anterior. So you're going to look for your shin and then go just to the outside of the shin. And you're pressing all the way down. And if you find something feels a little tender, stay there. If you don't find anything, just keep moving your hand around until maybe you do. But you might not, there will be instances where you try to look for tightness or tension in a muscle and you can't find it, and that's fine. It just means your muscle's not tense. All right, from here, let's go to the peroneals. So now we're going to the lateral side of the lower leg. I like to use my knuckles for this one. Whew. And then from here, we'll go into the soleus which is where you put your hand on the shin and then go inward. So here's the shin, go inward until you're off the shin, and then just go up and down. This is interesting because I feel like nothing on this side, but on the other side, my leg was screaming. And that's just like the nature of being human, right? We're very rarely perfectly symmetrical or, you know, have the same aches and pains on both sides. All right. Great. From here, this is where you might want to use both blocks. You're going to come up onto your tiptoes like this. I'll turn to the side so you can see a little better. And you can put a little bit of pressure into your blocks if you need to. We're going to try to come down one at a time with your knee. So from the front, I feel like when I wear black, you can't really see me as well, but we're going to go like this. Now, as you do this, you want to try to keep all 5 toes down on the mat. Now, if you can't come all the way down with the knee, that's fine. Maybe you're just going here. As long as you're getting some sort of stretch in the bottom of the foot, that's what we're looking for. So again, you can press into the blocks to take a little bit of the pressure off, so you're not like putting your entire body weight on the bottoms of the feet or the bottoms of the toes. Then you can start doing it 2 at a time. And remember to breathe. And what's nice about this is when you're in this position, you generally will get a nice stretch across either the bottoms of the toes or across the bottoms of the feet. The trick is to try to keep all 5 toes of each foot down towards the ground. Whew. All right, one more time. Great. All right, come up so you're on your shins, hands down to the ground, and extend one leg back behind you, curling your toes, reaching your heel towards the ground. And just kind of press into your palms, the base of your palms, to reach your heel towards the ground. And then from here, take your right leg out to the side so it's in line with the left knee. Curl your left toes and we'll go back and forth like this. So this is doing a couple things. One, we're trying to get this foot, the outside edge of the foot, down onto the ground. That'll help to stretch out through here. And then you're also getting a nice stretch across the bottom of the foot on the other side. So we're just going back and forth. You may also feel this in the inner right thigh as well. And then let's switch sides. So now we're going to curl left toes and reach left foot back behind. I'll just turn. And you'll press into the base of the palms. Like that. And then we'll go out to the side with the left leg. Try to get this outer edge of the foot on the ground and then curl right toes under. Hips go back and forth, spine stays neutral. Great. From here, rise up. So you're on your tiptoes and you're kind of in this like squat position. This is another opportunity where you could use your blocks if you wanted to. You can have them up front. So my heels are high off the ground and my butt is kind of low. And you're just gonna move in one direction and then the other. So shift your weight from left foot to right. Just like before, you want all 5 of your toes on each foot down. And you want your weight equally distributed. So you might notice, like, as you go over to one side, all your weight's on the ball of the foot. See if you can shift your weight so it's equally distributed across the base of all 5 toes. And then you can see what happens. Come to stillness. You You can see what happens when you put one foot flat on the ground and then shift, and you go from flat foot to the other side. So I'm just looking like this. Whew, this is difficult. All right, then we'll release. This is where we're gonna use whatever prop you have. So maybe, like, I know that the base of a staircase is really great for this. You can grab onto like what are those things called? The rails, the spindles, like, you know, those things? You can grab onto those if they're sturdy. I'm just gonna grab onto this bench. So you're gonna sit, I'll just pull it on here. You're gonna sit low, trying to not to round your back. Now, if your back wants to round, what you can do is use those blocks to sit and then apply some pressure into the feet. If this is too high for you and you're like, well, this is easy, but I can't do this, then you can turn your blocks, and maybe that's the appropriate height for you. And you're just gonna put some pressure into the foot, almost as if you can lift your butt up. And go ahead and try to do that right now. Just lift your butt off your blocks. Whew, this is hard. And then we're just gonna sit here and breathe. Now, if you're not really feeling anything by sitting on the blocks, then you could get rid of the blocks. So I'm just in basically like a deep squat, and there is not much tension in my butt. But then we're gonna add a little bit of tension, and you can kind of shift your weight side to side. So my stance is kind of wide, and you're just shifting side to side. So I'm holding on, and I'm like this is what I'm doing. Oh my gosh, this really gets into the inner thighs as well. So you're aiming to keep your heels down. And you can also rock back and forth. So tiptoes, heels, tiptoes, heels, tiptoes, heels. Nice. We'll do 2 more. And last one. Good. All right, let's stretch out the tops of the feet. So for that, we'll put the feet flat like that. Send your hips back, hands come down. And you're trying to push some weight into the hips and the heels. Now, if you don't feel anything here, this might just be that like your feet don't really need this particular one. But the other thing you could do is take your blocks as shown and like sit down and really kind of force those, not force is not the right word, encourage the feet to come down. But there's a difference between discomfort and pain. So like for me, I don't feel anything here. This is just not a stretch I need, but I know a lot of people need it. And you'll know if you need it if like when you try to do this, your feet kind of splay out to the side and they don't want to come down. Like I have a lot of clients whose feet just naturally are like that. And so I know that sending the hips back applies just the right amount of pressure to help them to start to come down. But for me personally, I'm just not, I'm not feeling a thing. So we'll just hold here and breathe. One more deep breath in and out. Great, and then release. So that is our little ankle mobility video. I hope it's helpful to you. This is one of those things that I would suggest that you do frequently because the more you do it, the more impact you'll see, the more changes you'll see. So incorporate this. I would start with like twice a week and then work your way up to like 3 times a week. And eventually when you get to a place where you no longer need the blocks, then you can feel free to move on from this video and visit it every once in a while. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for practicing with me, and I'll see you very soon here on the Yoga by Candace YouTube channel.